Jimmy G will get healthy. Training camp, he'll be the guy for the San Francisco 49ers. And if he struggles, they'll give away to Trey Lance at that point in time.
It's Friday with KJ and Max. It all starts at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Isn't this a sports show?
Being like a sports talk radio show host used to be what I wanted to do with my life. Used to be very exciting to me. I want to yell at little kids. I want to tell little kids that they suck.
Almost entirely.
You suck. You're adopted. Your mom's too hot for your dad. She's going to leave him soon. Get ready for it. Who do you like spending your weekends with better, your mom or your dad?
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
This is Sports Radio 810 WHP. Almost Entirely Sports is the name of the show. We're talking Game of Thrones because it's AES After Dark, where I can say phrases like sexual power play.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHP.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Is there a word that means both love and hate in some language? This show.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHP.
Last night, I thought we might actually get to talk about the Chiefs' defense. We finally got up to that point, and then Bruce Arians retired.
Who cares about defense?
Not the Chiefs. Tonight, I thought maybe this will be the night we talk about the Chiefs' defense. And actually, later, we certainly will at least a little bit, because we'll have our friend Matt Verderame of FanSided join us at 9. Maybe we'll talk about it more tomorrow. Got some Final Four action to look ahead to. The Chiefs haven't done anything new. There's no breaking news at this second that we know anything about across the NFL. And if it's like last night, we'll find that out 10 or 15 minutes into the show. And kind of just standing pat with what the Chiefs have done so far this offseason. They've not added any, particular edge rushers or anything so far today. It's been a little bit of a quiet stretch.
I, for the third time in maybe the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, forgot that today's not Friday.
Not Friday.
Every time you say we have a show tomorrow, in my head I'm like, nope, and then it clicks, yeah, we do, because Thursday.
And tomorrow, I can tell you what we're going to do tomorrow also, because I just got a little buzz back verifying this. No Mick Schaefer tomorrow night's show. He's in New Orleans. And
partying, Mardi Gras.
There's no way he would even be sober enough to be on a cell phone at 9 p.m. There's simply no chance.
Not possible.
So we'll have our usual Sterling Holmes weekend Friday. And then Kevin Flaherty of 24/7 Sports is going to join us at 8.
I remember it's 10 p.m. down there. Right, they're Eastern.
I don't know.
They should be Eastern.
I don't know. I know Florida and New York and the coast are Eastern.
Because
I don't know about New Orleans.
Kentucky is half. Well, it's about 3/4 of Kentucky is Eastern, quarter is Central.
Quick report here from Google is that
right?
So here from Google, the quick report back is that Rudy interrupted me 4 times to be loud or wrong.
Oh, yeah.
You're a machine, man. You're so consistent at that. I feel like whenever, and you know what? I think the new move is going to be.
Is it really Central?
Yeah, I googled what time zone is New Orleans, and it says Central Daylight Time.
It just doesn't feel right, though.
8:04 p.m. Now 8:05.
Well, it's only 7, Josh. Here.
Nope. A lot of bad news for you.
Pretty sure it's Friday.
It's 8 p.m. on a Thursday, Rudy. It's 8 p.m. on a Thursday in Louisiana
April
also.
31st.
Time
in the year
zone
1921.
Map. 1921 is probably one of the latest years where it wouldn't make this show more relevant as a terrestrial radio. Think about the rise of radio. You went a little too far back, I think, for this to be like the.
So 1874.
Yeah, man, right around then I think. Okay, now I've got a time zone map, and now I'm googling when was the first radio broadcast. I should know this. Hey, you know what?
I believe it was in 2 BC.
1920. We would have been on the front end of it if it was a Friday at 7 p.m.
Little off. I was dead on.
I gotta find the WHB one now because
we are approaching 100 years of WHB because Jason has mentioned multiple times about how not the WHB moniker approaching 100 years old.
Right, music back in the day,
yes.
But
what year is it? I mean, so that'd be 1922.
If we're approaching it, let's find
Well,
out.
1925. That's gonna be my guess of WHB. Because I think we're still a couple years away. Maybe just like one.
First air date for the call letters, WHB. I knew we were an old station.
Mm-hmm.
We only got 3 call letters. That's always been pretty cool. May 10th, 1922. So if we went back to 1921, as you were just offering for us to do, now I don't think the night signal was a thing at that point. A lot of things were different.
I mean,
you know?
there was a night signal. It's just you were not allowed to broadcast over it. I believe for government
The Chiefs didn't exist. This show would have been different.
For military reasons.
Marvel movies hadn't started being made yet. What would this show have even talked about? Pokemon wasn't a thing yet.
Oh boy,
I know.
we would have struggled.
Would have been difficult. There are no Beanie Babies to adorn our console.
Digimon a thing back then?
I don't think Digimon was invented in the 1920s. No, I don't.
Saw a trailer for a new Digimon game coming out. Looks dope.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it does. It's called Survive.
I think we've
Looks
talked about
pretty
that.
good.
It's exciting. I'm looking at the WHB Wikipedia page.
Fun fact, my niece and WHB share a birthday then. May 10th. Best friend in high school growing up too, May 10th.
Just hit Control F Brisco for the WHB Wikipedia page.
Gotta add that E.
No hits. No.
Add the E and it'll pop up.
It's not even how that works.
Just trust me, add the E, it'll pop up.
Somebody from Wikipedia could hop on and just go ahead and stitch in a little. Let me just go ahead and let me search the word almost.
No, so
Did show up twice, just not in reference to this show.
I've actually learned some stuff about Wikipedia. See, you can't put your name in there because it has keywords that it just knows are basically trolling or hate speech and whatever it may be, right? Or not.
Which one would my name be?
Or fiction.
Ah.
Anything, right? Like, so if somebody puts in, right, so like you see an athlete, maybe let's say when Bobby Witt, I don't know who's the Royals are playing opening day or who the opening day pitcher is.
Cleveland, I think.
Cleveland. Let's just say it's Justin Bieber, their star pitcher.
It's not his name, but
Shane
okay.
Bieber.
Uh-huh.
Bobby Witt goes 4 for 4 with 4 home runs. Somebody immediately is going to go to Bobby Witt's home run or Shane Bieber's Wikipedia page and say owned by Bobby Witt Jr.
Sure. Probably go to the Cleveland Guardians page and do that. But.
Yeah. Wikipedia does not have to fix that themselves. They have bots set up that know for certain keywords that they search out to where they know somebody's clearly putting this as a joke. That's your name.
You were just Jeffy from Family Circus, the path you just took to make the point that my name is a joke.
I learned that from Pablo Torre. It was a whole ESPN Daily. It was very good.
But could someone else add my name to the WHP? I'm not saying to
No,
put. I'm not saying to put my name. Hold
If
on, time out.
Literally
Time
anybody
out.
in the world puts your name anywhere on Wikipedia, it's basically a joke and they remove it.
There's no party horns left in this box anymore. I'm not saying to put me down as the future 54th president of these United States of America.
I'm not saying that either.
I'm saying what about just a reference to Almost Entirely Sports?
That's
with an
fine.
unnamed host.
Works.
I can live with that.
Joshua Briscoe with an E? No problem. Joshua Briscoe, they know it's a typo. They'll actually probably not get rid of your name. They'll just automatically correct it to have the E.
When that happens, not if, but when that happens, when my name is added to the WHB Wikipedia page with an E on the end, I'm going to go in and personally edit in the phrase, Almost Entirely Sports, hosted by Joshua Briscoe, and produced exclusively by Beards McFly. And never anyone else. Thank
R.I.P.
God. R.I.P. Beards McFly,
2018?
2018 to 2021.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Most people didn't know this, but Beards was born in that control room over there, and just that's also more or less the lore of the Internchin and of really the urchin that becomes the Internchin. Huge AES news. Intern Adhel will make her debut voyage, her maiden voyage, on the headlines. We will see how it goes. I have not looked at the headlines. Have you seen the headlines that she's brought to the table,
No,
Rudy?
I've not seen the headlines.
Okay, we're really gonna let her fly without a net, and we're just gonna see. Worst case scenario, we have a weird 3-minute segment in the middle of the hour. I am not worried about that. I think Adele understands the spirit of the headline segment. I think we're gonna do it. News. Whoa! Hey! Get back! No! Get back under there! Don't let him out yet, Rudy.
Sorry.
Don't let him out yet.
You jumped the gun.
I understand. Don't let him out yet. You keep him in the cupboard down there where he belongs. This is where the differentiation between the urchin and the interns is really important. Because we don't make our interns sit in the cupboard.
Never.
It's where the urchin lives, by choice.
Well.
Shh. He's our collective brainchild. We can give him whatever motivation we want, as long as the Comics Code Authority doesn't knock us for it, as we learned last night.
Watch out for the CCA.
So anyway, Verderame in 45 minutes, headlines with the intern in about 15. I wanted to share something that I found kind of funny today, and we oftentimes have to navigate some of this stuff with we're doing a whole lot of pre-apologizing, I feel like, now on this show, maybe as like a culture, and I'm okay. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Cancel culture,
This cancel culture. We can't make jokes about anybody anymore. My prelude to this is that Antonio Brown very clearly has some issues. But he's also a bleep hole about it, and so I feel like we have to be able to make fun of some of it without making fun of what underlying conditions he has apparently rejected any sort of help with. I want to keep this as surface level as possible, if that is permissible at all here. Because this started with a tweet, and then I will do something else that we haven't done without beards very often. I'm going to step over to Reddit. But there was a tweet from Tom Pelissero this morning citing a report to TMZ Sports about Antonio Brown. Tom Pelissero tweets out the article and says, free agent wide receiver Antonio Brown tells TMZ Sports he still hasn't undergone ankle surgery and won't unless the team commits to signing him. And for me, that just feels like bad business to me. I, an athlete, will not get healthy until you promise to sign me without knowing how the surgery is going to go, the actual state of the ankle. The ankle, which is basically, and look, I'm not going to tell you that Bruce Arians has never lied or flown off the handle. I'm not picking sides really on that one. But the logic for Antonio Brown quitting mid-game on the Bucs and then just piecing out was that he was being forced to play on his injured ankle, and he didn't want to do that. And if you took his word as gospel, you'd say that is a horrible thing that he was, pressured into doing or whatever. Shouldn't have had to do that. Cool, whatever, fine. Personally, if my ankle hurt like that, I would just want to get that fixed for me. Maybe it's a sweet spot where it doesn't affect him on a day-to-day, but would affect him on a football field.
Walking is fine, but running hurts maybe.
I guess, but you've got a lot of money and probably pretty good health insurance, man. I'd get that scoped out.
As somebody who has, and obviously I do, I spoiler alert,
as an
never
elite
played
athlete,
professional
as
sports.
an elite athlete who also the Chiefs should consider signing.
I mean, have you seen that receiver room?
You got some height, you got some size.
Got some size. I constantly had a hurt ankle all throughout junior high and high school. Like 90% of my junior high and high school, I walked with a limp because my ankles are made of glass. I've never had an ankle injury in which it felt totally fine walking and hurt running. Now, there were times where I was fine walking, but running caused a lot of pain. But it was never like, there was always some discomfort. And if I had the ability to get rid of some discomfort, I would want to get rid of that.
And
personally,
this isn't like back surgery, right? We're like, I could retire and this could all be okay, or I could go through
neck surgery, like any of these severe things.
Talking about an ankle. Anyway, I saw that on Reddit, though, and then I would like to spend a good portion of the rest of this segment reading you a bullet-pointed list by a user named Let Dogs Vote.
I agree.
And it's a pretty long list to the point that I'm going to skip some that I think either aren't A1 listings here.
Now, or would you be reading the internet here, or?
Yeah, I think that would be justified. I'm concerned that the 8-minute-long music bed might run out because it's a really long list. And I will just start it exactly how the user Let Dogs Vote starts it. These are not all like hyperlinked to the exact sourcing on this one. So, we're legally protected. The opinions expressed by Reddit user Let Dogs Vote are not necessarily reflective of the opinions of Joshua Brisco, Rudy Salazar, Almost Entirely Sports, or Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Unless the opinion is Let Dogs Vote, in which case I think we can all agree.
I got to see if we can get 810 to sign off on that one formally. I feel like we should be able to get that petition going. With that being said, let's read the internet.
And now, Josh reads the internet.
Kicked out of Florida International University after fighting a security guard. Don't touch me, I'm the franchise. His second year in the league, he took a personal stretch limo to a charity event, had them open every single expensive bottle of wine, rejected it, refused to pay for it, charity, remember, then left. Drove 100 down McKnight Road in Pittsburgh, which has a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. Trashed a condo and threw furniture out a window, 14th floor window, which almost hit some people, notably a child. Killed a home aquarium full of piranhas and refused to pay the man who installed the tank. I'm going to go ahead and call our first time out right there. Go ahead and just drop the music for me. Nothing screams rich person who should not be in charge of anything more than got a tank full of piranhas and killed them all by accident or by negligence. Or I guess on purpose, but I'm assuming negligence in this case. Okay, back to reading. Dyed his mustache blonde.
I love that that's in the...
It's on the list.
That's on
it's
the
on the list. Maybe the most egregious offense.
Maybe.
Refused to pay a chef because he thought he threatened him by placing a fish head in the freezer. The fish head was saved to make a soup. Farted on a doctor. Demanded a trade from the Steelers. Became Mr. Big Chest. Threw a fit over Juju winning team MVP and trashed him on social media. Allegedly nixed a trade that would have sent him to the Bills. Showed up to Raiders training camp in a hot air balloon. Call another quick timeout. Let's go ahead and kill that music. We're going to start getting in the territory here where I promise, and Rudy, you just buzz in whenever one of these happens to you. I'm going to read one of these things that you're going to say, wow, I completely forgot that was an Antonio Brown thing. Some of these we have well documented and remember, but we'll have forgotten because it's a long list.
There's a lot of things.
Held out and refused to show up at training camp because the NFL would not approve his helmet because it was too old for their safety standards. Did I already say the hot air balloon one?
Yeah, which I forgot about that.
Completely forgot. Froze his feet.
I remember.
Tried to paint over his old helmet, hoping no one would notice, I guess.
Forgot about that.
Oh, that was my favorite. That might be my favorite of all of these.
I knew the old helmet. I forgot that he painted over the old helmet.
Psst, painted it silver. I don't think we ever got footage of that.
Beautiful.
Man, I would love to see that.
Real Picasso.
It's Picasso. Acquired a newer version of the same model of helmet, which the NFL refused to let him use. Picked out a new helmet and finally showed up to the Raiders. Got fined by the Raiders for not attending camp. Tweeted the fines. Tried to fight Mike Mayock, called him a cracker, had to be held back by Vontaze Burfict, then punted a football down the practice field and said, "Fine me for that."
I forgot about that.
Got fined for that.
Weirdly, I remember that.
Released a video where he used audio of John Gruden, who did not know he was being recorded, which is illegal in California. Full disclosure, Gruden has said he gave permission, but the generally accepted theory is that he said that in the hope that it would help get him to show up to the facility and not alienate him. Demanded a release from the Raiders. Was released. Quote, "Grandma, I'm free. Fly like a free." Made a lot of crazy tweets saying stuff like "devil is a lie," a proverb about burning down a village. That one's new to me. He made a lot of crazy tweets about around this point here.
You have to burn down a village to raise a family. I think that's what it is, you know.
Like to tweet about Mike Mayock being not funnied. Not a funny one. Didn't know that one. Signed with the Patriots. Moved in with Tom Brady. The sexual assault allegations came out, the one where he's getting sued. The sexual harassment allegations came out, the one where he's not getting sued. Threatened the woman not suing him in a group text that included his lawyer and had a picture of her kids in the text. Got released out by the Patriots after 1 week.
Remember all that.
Can we kill the music for a second? This isn't the entire point of this segment. The main point of this segment is, boy, this is a long list. The other point is some little portion of my brain, and probably some little portion of your brain, has a thought of, man, you know what would help the Chiefs' offense a lot? If Antonio Brown came around and was just normal and played football. This segment may also serve as a PSA that that's not going to happen. You know the Arrested Development scene / meme of, it's never worked for anyone else, but maybe it'll work for us?
That's signing Antonio Brown.
Went off on a tweet storm, said a lot of crazy bleep about a lot of people, and was supportive of people sending threats to the writer of the article detailing the sexual harassment allegations. Said he was done with the NFL. Went back to college via online classes. Tried to outsource his homework to Twitter. Wants to come back to the NFL.
I forgot about the outsourcing his homework.
That one's new to me as well. That's totally
that
fresh
one
to me.
might not even be that I forgot. It's entirely possible I did not know that was a thing.
Me neither.
One of the two.
Filed several grievances to try and get more than $40 million from the Raiders and Patriots. Was ordered to show up at a deposition regarding trashing the condo. Was accused of, quote, reprehensible behavior during the deposition. The author here says, note, I cut the specifics about the deposition so I could fit this into a single comment. You can read more about it here if you're interested, because it, like everything else, is nuts. Said that the Patriots have to pay him anyway, so they might as well let him play. Tweeted a couple of bizarre tweets about the Raiders using him for HBO ratings and the Patriots trying to steal his stuff and keep using this weird chicken-based metaphor. Tried out for the Saints and brought an entourage and film crew to shoot a music video with him when he was specifically told not to do that. Did you remember his Saints tryout? Because I forgot about that completely.
The second you said, I forgot about the second you said Saints tryout, I remembered the music video and all that stuff. But I had forgotten that was a thing until you mentioned it.
Called out Robert Kraft for his Florida thing. Started training for a boxing match with Logan Paul.
I remember that.
Tweeted, no more white woman 2020.
Now, was that a tweet reference to Logan Paul? Is he throwing shade at Logan Paul? Who can say?
The attorney representing him in the suit involving the condo quit.
Did he get paid?
It's no chance, right?
No. Why do you think he quit?
I'm looking at the clock here really quick. Okay, we're going to get to the end of this list. I'm just not as close as you might think. Used a bunch of slurs and profane language towards cops in an Instagram video he posted. A police youth football league cut ties with him and returned the donation after the release of the video, saying there was a, quote, irreparable rift between the department and Antonio Brown. Threw a bag of gummy candy bleeps at the cops in the video he posted. Got dropped by his agent.
Because he wouldn't pay, I'm sure.
Was involved in a dispute with movers at his home. Was involved in a dispute with movers at his home where he allegedly threw rocks at the movers and moving vans. He is currently being investigated for battery by the police. His trainer was arrested, and he is still a suspect in the battery case. Warrant issued for the arrest of AB. AB turns himself into Broward County Jail wearing this suit. I don't have a picture of that. I'd like to see it though. Rumors spread about AB signing with Tampa or Seattle. AB announces his retirement for what I believe is the third time. It's hard to find a good record of the rest of them. 2 days later, AB wants to play again and is asking for the league to wrap up its investigation. The NFL announces an 8-game suspension for Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown signs with the Buccaneers on a 1-year deal. Before he signed with the Buccaneers, he was accused of destroying a surveillance camera at a Florida-gated community, throwing a bike at a security guard shack, and is not charged because the HOA president, quote, feared retaliation per police report. AB is under investigation by the NFL for the bike throwing incident. Allegedly acquires a fake COVID-19 card. Confirmed to have acquired a fake COVID-19 card and subsequently suspended for 3 games. Benched mid-game versus the Jets, losing by 14 in the third quarter. Strips off clothes, throwing them into the crowd while celebrating, running into the locker room in the middle of the third quarter. And then he thought a random bald white guy was Pitbull. That one happened recently and is my addition. This segment of Almost Entirely Sports brought to you by Let Dogs Vote on Reddit. I just was excited to have a chance for all of us to relive some of these things because there's stuff in there that I didn't know or completely forgot. I'm sure that's true for you as well. And the Chiefs definitely should not sign Antonio Brown. But man, I mean, how good would it be to get him and Juju back together again? Marquez Valdes-Scantling taking the top off the defense. McCole Hardman can stretch the defense horizontally.
I mean, him and Juju clearly have a good relationship.
Clearly. Look, I mean, could Derek Carr, a universally beloved character at quarterback, could he get Antonio Brown to work with them? No. Tom Brady had him move into his home with him, and Tom Brady obviously always sort of one of those guys that he'll make it work. Could he make it work? Well, no. But maybe it'll work out for us.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Sports Radio 810 WHB's coverage of Radio Row. Brought to you by Worth Harley-Davidson, Amini's, Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park, Premier Mazda of Kansas City, Core First Bank, and Hy-Vee. Live from New Orleans for the Final Four.
More energy, better sleep, and so much happier. 40 pounds lighter and still going strong. Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness has changed my life. 2 words, guys. It works. Tell your friend.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Headlines with the Internchin is pretty good. I think that's what we're gonna basically create next.
That sounds like an action movie, like The Equalizer or something.
Ooh, you're right, the Internchin.
Revenge of the Interchins.
That's good. That's the sequel. Can we get a third one? What's the third movie called?
Well, you know, The Interchin Strikes Back.
That's pretty good.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The Interchins have struck back! Intern Adhel has been around for a little while now. It's been a weird time to be an intern on this show, which is never not true, I guess, in many senses of the word. But feels like it's been very true for your time here so far, Adhel. But now today,
I believe it's our first in-school semester intern. Generally, they've always been
summer ones
when there's not Final Four, Super Bowls, all that stuff.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I bet you're right. Well, today though, intern Adhel, you are here to make your headline sharing debut. None of us have done this segment in a very long time, so if any of us are rusty, it'll be me and Rudy. It's your first time, so people are going to have that built in, I would say. Whenever Rudy and I make this segment worse, that's going to be us failing to do our jobs. What's your level of confidence right now?
About a 7.
I bet it'll be a 7. I bet we can get it to an 8 if we pull that microphone a little closer to you, just by a smidge. Just another smidge probably. That's great. Rudy, you good?
Oh, I'm great.
Intern Adhel, you good?
I'm good. Better. Actually, I sound better, so I feel better.
Yeah, see? I told you we're going to get back up to an 8. We're feeling like an 8 right now.
I'm at my normal 5 out of 10 self, baby.
I'm just glad you're at the halfway point. Sometimes we get Rudy at a 3, and those days make me a little bit nervous. I'm happy. We're happy. Let's do the headlines.
Okay.
Nope, sorry. This is a Rudy issue. I was just about to say, I just remembered what this used to sound like.
Yeah, give me a second. So it plays in the preview, but apparently there's an issue.
It's old.
With,
It hasn't been played in a very long time.
Yeah, let me pull
Card
this
is
up
expired.
real fast. So, Josh, how was your day?
Pretty good till right now.
Do anything fun?
Nope.
Anything interesting?
Nope.
I mean,
you know how I want you to know how I feel.
Literally anything at all today.
No, man, I'm good actually. How about you?
You played Kirby recently?
Nope, we talked about it last night. Didn't play any today.
Really? That's a little disappointing.
What about your day?
What the? I
fixed it again.
I fixed it. Okay, let's try something real fast. Will any of these work? Nope. Broke the system.
I did that. I did that one time.
Oh, how did I do this? It's been a while. Services.
It's okay. You can do your thing. Adhel and I can talk about how she's learned about the pinnacle of sports radio production from being an intern on Almost Entirely Sports.
Let's start it back up.
You know how in jazz sometimes about the notes you don't play? In terms of being an intern in the sports radio world, sometimes it's the lessons that you learn about what not to do, you know?
Yes, that makes so much sense. I feel like I've learned a lot of what not to do.
That's almost the only thing we've been able to provide for you, I feel like.
The motto of this show, baby.
Is you can learn from our mistakes. We won't. We won't learn from our mistakes, but you can. And maybe, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, maybe we can do the headlines.
Headlines! I've got headlines over here!
Boy,
you want a headline?
it's such a bad accent.
Got plenty of them. Got breaking news here.
Wait, is that your accent?
No.
You want some breaking news? What about you, old lady?
Old lady!
Before I give the accent, or before I let you go, the accent, it is on par with Oscar Isaac's accent, I would say. It's about the same.
Not good?
It's part of it, though. Like, it is an intentional decision to have it be like that, which makes it great. But I thought of Moon Knight when I heard Beards.
You mean the urchin?
The urchin. Yeah, sorry.
Who's Beards?
Some guy, I believe, died years ago.
Intern Adhel, first headline.
All right. KC Chiefs president says team is exploring possible sites for stadium in Kansas.
Do you want to know more about this, Rudy? I ended up having to write a story about this, so I feel like I have gotten my fill of this story.
I've heard enough people yell about it around here.
Which website's that from? I'm just real curious. So that link right there. Is it?
It's on kansascity.com.
Nah, I don't need it.
Okay.
Hey, you, Mister! You need some news. I've got news here. Just ask me, please. I need to give out news.
Okay, it's National Manatee Appreciation Day.
Let's go!
Yes.
Let's go! Click that link.
Yes.
Today's National Manatee Appreciation Day?
Yes,
Oh,
it
this is
is.
fantastic.
Yes.
I've got a manatee sticker on my laptop. Look at that. Manatee Gourmet Coffee. It's in Florida. I don't know if it's in Treasure Island or I don't know. We have mugs from that coffee company. My mom sent because they got manatees basically in their backyard sometimes. Not
They're the
all
dogs
the time.
of
But
the ocean.
I think they say that about sea lions. I think manatees are like the cows of the ocean. What can we learn about Manatee Day?
Let's see. They weigh as much as 1,200 pounds, but they survive only on seagrass alone.
So you could be
You
a
were
vegan.
right.
You
Yeah,
could be
you
a
were right,
vegan and
Josh.
still a cow. That is wow. Okay, 1,200 pounds on grass. Got to be a lot of grass.
Yeah. Let's see. You can find them in rivers. Pretty much find them in water. They're an endangered species.
I knew that. So you got to protect these manatees.
Okay. They were birthed by the world's leading manatee conservation organization, I guess.
The day or or
The
all
day.
manatees? Oh, okay,
The
that makes
day.
more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I know that manatee repopulation is an issue, and I felt like we had the solution right there. We just make more and just push them into water, any water.
And there's only 3 distinct species: West African, Amazonian, and West Indian.
Interesting.
I think that I either thought there was exactly 1 manatee species or that there would have been like 50. I would have never guessed 3, though. That would have taken a very long time for me to get to 3 total manatee species.
3 surviving. I think
Oh, man, how many
a
of those
lot of them
probably-
are like instinct.
Yeah, there's probably more at some point. That would make sense. Like everything good in this world, it dies. Nothing beautiful is meant to survive in this world, unfortunately. R.I.P. Dodo.
And they don't have a care in the world and only need to surface occasionally just for oxygen.
I found my spirit animal.
You might be kind of a manatee. That's
I
great.
wish.
That's great. That's a good headline. Good work, Adele. Next.
Hey, you look like you haven't been paying attention to the news lately. Do you need a newspaper? I bet you do. Here's one. Take it. No, why are you giving it back?
Okay, a flamingo that escaped Kansas Zoo 17 years ago spotted in Texas.
Yes.
I saw this headline, but I did not click the story.
I did not hear about this.
Yes, yes, please. I would love to know how this all happened. Kansas City Zoo, 17 years ago. Flamingo found in Texas?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take the opening paragraph on this one.
Okay, one of 2 flamingos that escaped from a Kansas City zoo during a storm 17 years ago has been spotted in Texas coast. And officials said that the confirmed African flamingo known as number 492 because of the number on its leg band was captured on a video shoot.
Such a terrible name.
Yeah.
It's like a Lilo and Stitch thing.
No, actually better name, Pink Floyd.
Better.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
Much better.
Much better.
Do you know, have they recaptured it?
They have recaptured it.
Okay.
And they're bringing it back in Wichita. Oh, it's meant to be.
Here's my thing. I think this just applies to just about anything unless you have committed just the most egregious of crimes. If you get away for 17 years, you're just free. you're just allowed. It's like, hey, you won. The statute of limitations is passed. You won. Okay, you're good. Go be free, flamingo.
Is that, did it say Sedgwick County Zoo in Wichita, or did it just say Wichita? Because Sedgwick is a good zoo. I was born in Wichita. I was a little boy in Wichita.
It's a good zoo.
It's a good zoo. I'm glad that flamingo's coming back to, I almost said the state of Kansas, but it would have been in the Kansas. It escaped from the Casey Mo Zoo.
But it might have traveled through Kansas, though.
Look, if the Chiefs can move from one side of the state line to the other, certainly that flamingo can.
You look uninformed. Here's a newspaper.
The Chiefs aren't in Kansas already?
You feel like a 4 out of 10 yet? 4.5?
Pretty low at a 3.
What's next?
All right, Rams signing linebacker Bobby Wagner to a 5-year, $50 million deal.
I will take more information on this because I saw this earlier. It's not made it into the show in any other way, shape, or form. I didn't think the Chiefs are going to be in the sweepstakes here. They're good at linebacker, but the Ravens were interested, and the NFC has finally signed a good player. The only NFC teams allowed to sign good players is apparently the Rams. Do you have the any contract details, any opening lead on that, on the Bobby Wagner story?
He's getting a 5-year, $50 million deal in LA, and it's worth up to $65 million with incentives And yeah.
Is there anything on the guaranteed money? I don't know if I've seen that. It might not be out yet. So if you scroll and you don't see it, might not be your fault.
I don't see it.
Okay, that'll be interesting to see. 'Cause he's how old is he? Is that on there also? Is there a little
29, 30?
I think late 20s, early 30s.
No, he's 31.
31.
First try.
Well, now Rudy's a 3.1. Really sliding down that scale. Got to turn it back around.
Wish I was a 3.1.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay, great.
Hey, you! You need some news! Come get the news from me!
Okay, I wish Blake was here for this one. So it's National Crayon Day.
Crown.
Wait, hold on. Today is both National Manatee Day and National Crayon Day?
Yeah.
It's like 5 days every day.
No,
man.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's just a great combo.
It's getting a little outrageous. Like we got every day. There's like 7 of them.
This is something I'm calling. I'm sorry to shake both of you guys off, but overall, I want to know more obviously about the Crayon Day, so you can load that article if you'd like. On ESPN Kansas City, we very regularly would go to the calendar of the day. My mom would like email the calendar PDF or whatever, or maybe I don't remember. We would have them printed off and
snail mail
and put them in there. And that was always a real point of pride. The biggest and most important theme day in the history of this show, or really all of life, is in December. I'm going to get you the exact right day because I put it into my calendar. December 5th every year is Bathtub Party Day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might ask, what does Bathtub Party Day entail?
Party in a bathtub.
No one's ever been able to figure that out. We have done entire shows about Bathtub Party Day. Tell us about National Crayon Day.
Okay. Let's see. The first Crayola crayons came out in 1903, and they only had 8 colors in there in the pack.
1903?
Yeah.
That's earlier than I would have guessed.
You're not good at this game, Josh.
Guess what the colors were?
8 colors, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Teal,
this. Okay.
maroon, aqua.
I'm gonna say
puke green.
I'm gonna say red, blue, yellow,
Violets.
green, black. Violet might actually be one. I'm gonna say violet.
Lavender.
No, I'm gonna say
chamomile.
Dandelion. I think that's actually a really new one. And white. There's no way there's a white crayon on the first one. That's a fill out the box one later.
I don't know. Back in 1900s, I think whites went first.
No.
As opposed to now, Rudy. Yeah, back in 1902.
So much.
Yeah, we've really fixed that one in the 120 years since then. What were the original 8 colors?
Okay, you got most of them. Black, brown, orange, violet, blue, green, red, and yellow.
That's pretty good. I think we did okay. I think we got 5 or 6 out of the 8. It's hard to tell for sure. That's great.
I was mostly right. You were mostly wrong. It's fine. Nobody was counting.
Okay, this is a serious question. Have you guys used crayons more than 730 times before your 10th birthday?
Before your... Whoa!
Probably.
That's...
It says the average American will do that.
So let's say that you're just using crayons from like age 5 to 10. You got 5 years there.
Because colored pencils aren't like you have not matured enough for colored pencils.
700 and how many? What was the average?
730.
Okay, so if you go, 730 by 365 is literally exactly using them twice a day for a year, or it's every other day for 2 years, or every 4 days for 4 years.
Every
I think.
5 days for 5 years.
Something like that. So you know what?
Probably.
That's possible.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Did you guys have the crayon boxes that had the sharpener in the back?
Yes.
Oh boy.
That right there.
I got that in middle school actually. So
Wow.
kept it very basic in elementary.
Sure, that's fine. You gotta nail the fundamentals first.
Yeah.
You can't because look, you give that to a kid too young, they're gonna try to put their pinky in there and just see what happens. That can't just have been me, right?
Well,
me 9.5 fingers, Josh Brisco, as they called me throughout elementary school.
Joshua Briscoe without half a finger. E.
I shaved the E off in the Crayola sharpener. Any other great crayon facts, or is that what you've got in the
No, I think
in
that's
the canon? Those are some good facts. The 730 times before age 10 is shocking.
News!
That one's the short one. We're on the short one only now. The other ones are too long, and the bit goes on for too long. How many headlines do you have left at this point?
I think we've done 4 or 5, so I have 10 in total.
Cool. Okay, we might just skip through a couple of them that we're not that enticed by, but that's how the headlines work.
Okay.
Got to grab our attention. What's next?
All right. Overdue book returned to London Library after nearly 50 years.
Oh man, I'm very.
What's the book?
I gotta know what the book is. Okay, yeah, we'll make this one quick, but we gotta know what the book was.
Okay.
And if there's a great story about it, if it's some
Calvin and Hobbes, maybe.
Wow.
Because that's a book I would steal from the library. Of course, I wouldn't return it. Though,
You ever? I accidentally spilt water on a Magic School Bus book one time, and that haunts me to this day.
I don't have a
I just pay for
memory
it.
specifically of doing that, but I was as a kid I had to have, right? Like every kid spilt something on a book.
I only did it once, but it destroyed it.
Yeah.
And it haunts me. Okay, what's the story?
Okay. Do you want to know the name of the book?
Yes.
It's an edition of the Latin language play. I don't even know how to say this. Curiolus? It was mailed back, not even returned in person.
Couldn't even look the librarian in the eye. I get it.
And they left a note.
What'd the note say?
Dear librarian, I fear this book is some 50 years overdue. Please don't just throw it out now that I've taken the time and trouble to return it. It must be an antique by now.
Okay, so I'm turning on the returner here. Couldn't even deliver it by hand. And then they got very uppity about it. Hey, after I went to all this work to return the book I stole half a century ago? I don't know. I don't think they get those brownie points.
Here's another headline.
Oh, we do have more urchin voice work.
Okay.
Towards the end, it just starts getting the news, and it's fun.
There's two more that we haven't gotten through yet.
Okay, that's exciting. And then we can go to news. Okay, what's the next one?
All right, scientists figure out how vampire bats got a taste for blood.
Morbius.
Dude,
I'll learn that this weekend.
Headlines are too good for this segment to get over in the amount of time that it's supposed to. Yeah, I would like to know how that happened.
Okay.
We talked about Morbius last night at length, and then today I listened to Ron McGill on the Lebitard show who talked about vampire bats. How they're like, I'm going to figure out what percentage of bats are vampire bats. It's a very small percentage. Bats are cool. People need to get with bats. What do we have on the story?
Let's see. So these bats live in South Africa or South and Central America, and they're basically called living Draculas. So they rely solely on calorie liquid diet of blood, like low calorie. And there's only 3 species and 1,400 kinds of bats that can do this. And the others, they eat insects, fruit, nectar, pollen, or meat. But these bats are the only ones that survive on blood.
That's what I was just looking for, which is that I just Googled only 3 of more than 13, I think you said 1,400 bat species in the world are vampire bats. Most bats are not here to suck your blood.
Who's tired of the news? Do you want a headline instead?
Don't understand the logic of that one. What's the next headline?
Okay. Braces, sex pills, fake eyeball among bizarre New Jersey beach trash.
Just read that whole thing one more time for me.
All right, now, braces, sex pills, fake eyeball among bizarre New Jersey beach trash.
The only hesitation is I don't know if there's anything in the article that we don't know by the headline. Let's find out. Let's find out how this all ended up. See, was the first word braces?
Yes.
If that's like teeth braces, I think that's worse to me than the sex pills or the fake eye.
That's just a normal day in Jersey.
That's true, man. You go to a beach
call
in
that
Jersey.
A Tuesday night party.
Okay.
And a glow-in-the-dark condom. And a Turkish Airlines hygiene kit that was also found there.
Okay, I mean, I feel like we know pretty much the story. I think we're going to get more information than that. That's just a lot of...
it.
Okay, all right. So don't take a metal detector to a New Jersey beach. Just go at night and see if anything glows.
I don't even know what a newspaper is, but I know where to get all my news.
And then do not pick that thing up. Sorry, urchin. I'm sorry. Next headline.
All right, man smuggled 1,700 reptiles from Mexico.
Yeah, I do want to know. Yeah, you've got a good feel for good headlines. This has been successful.
Okay. All right.
1,700.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot.
A Southern California man is accused of smuggling more than 1,700 reptiles, including baby crocodiles, Mexican beaded lizards, into the U.S.
Like exotic pet trade?
Yeah, they had snakes, lizards, crocodiles, all of them. Why would they have Why would you smuggle snakes, though? I'm confused.
I don't. Yeah.
The venom is very valuable.
You got to get that.
I actually think that might be true.
You think that might be true?
I think
so
it is.
Does it explicitly say pet trade, or is it like, or are some of them being sold for?
It says that, so the Border Patrol, they found them, 60 lizards and snakes tied in small bags, and they were concealed in his jacket and pants and groin area. That's very dangerous.
Do not do that. Don't put snakes on your
sure
crotch, man.
That venom is used for like perfumes and medicines and stuff like that. So like that's where its value can come from.
Really?
Oh, and he told them that they were his pets.
Yeah, I keep all of my pets in bags and also my pockets, and I guess groin. That's horrible. You see the Border Patrol found them?
Yeah.
It seemed like they'd be super tired after doing that show at 6 a.m. every morning, but...
About to make a similar joke.
I couldn't tell if you were going to make the same joke or if you were genuinely surprised by it, but I saw your reaction be pain,
good.
and that's what I was looking for, was pain.
News!
Next headline.
Okay, last one. So, scientists figure out how vampire bats got... no, I already did this.
You did that one.
Sorry.
Well, that's okay. Rudy also wasn't ready. That worked out great.
Dyson announces a wearable air purifier with noise-canceling headphones built in.
I would like to know more. Feel free to click it. My early prediction is it's going to look extremely dorky, be too expensive, not work that well, but also anything with noise-canceling headphones attached to it, I am enticed by. Is this like an answer to COVID? Is this like you can wear this and then not get COVID? I'm also going to Google this one on my own because I'd like to see a picture.
I have a picture, actually.
Okay.
But, here, 1 second.
So it looks like if Bane was working out with a pair of Beats on, basically.
Ooh, I'm into this.
So now I might be into it.
Okay, let's... An initial
You
review.
merely adopted the fresh air. I was born in it.
So you can have internal conversations, I guess, with this headphone. And it's part of like a purification on the move technology that's based on existing air purification technology. So they also had trials, but they didn't really, and it was based in Beijing. Makes sense.
Right.
Its final form, the Zone, uses a visor to channel a continuous stream of purified air to your nose and mouth without touching your face.
All this work being done by the Zone and the Border Patrol. I'm waiting for the program to do something. Did the program catch the flamingo? What happened here? I am also looking, so I'm looking at this picture again. This has been in the works for 6 years, so it's not specifically a COVID thing. Like, it's just a general air quality thing. It's kind of dystopian. It's like, hey, we've ruined the air so bad that you can wear this and then also have a phone call that no one else can hear because as Rudy pointed out, because you were born in the dark. Like, that is... This is questionable. Is there a price? Have you seen a price tag?
No, I haven't seen a price tag yet, so it's probably still in the making. It's supposed to filter out like smoke and pollutants and
right. Yeah, still kind of dystopian though. Nope. Okay, look, there's no way it's this cheap. This says filters for the full-size air purifiers list at $70 or $80. They're talking about filters though, not the full shebang.
If the filter's $80 though, imagine how much like the headset is.
Yeah.
300 to 500. That's my guess.
I see right here a refurbished one for $500.
Bet.
Could you? I'm not sure if I've got. Here we go. Dyson Airwrap Styler Complete. Buy the whole package here. Looks like. Would either of you be interested in parting with $930?
Jump change.
That's the news. The music turned to the end of our music because we had so many headlines. Adele, I don't know. How do you feel now? Scale of 1 to 10. Give us one more urchin. Do you have the urchin over there to
News.
Thank you. Okay, urchin can go back in the cupboard. How do you feel?
I'm about a 10.
Wow! Not only is she good at headlines, she's also a pretty good liar. Incredible. Intern Adele, thank you for your headline contribution to the show. We'll do this again sometime very soon. And I would just say keep up the good work. Also, upon further review, this is $930 is the price for a Dyson Airwrap Styler. This is for your hair. So I can't even imagine what the mask and headphones are going to cost.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Sports Radio 810.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
So, Matt, in the last month or so, in what way has your baby most tried to ruin your life?
That's a great question. How has she tried to ruin my life? Well, I was holding her a couple weeks ago, and the Chiefs were playing Washington in the fourth quarter, and obviously a tight game, and all of a sudden I realized that she was just peeing all over me. So that was
with Joshua Brisco.
And there have been many times where I've been targeted, shall we say, by Maisie.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That's an oldie there from Matt Verderame, or as I called him in a text earlier to Rudy, and as Rudy has now put on the phone boards, Verdi. I don't know if it's going to stick or not, Matt Verderame, who you can, of course, follow on Twitter, at Matt Verderame. Put him over to 20, by the way. Nearly 20,000 Twitter followers, just on the other side of it. You can check out the Stacking the Box podcast, the Arrowhead Addict podcast, his work up on FanSided. But how do we feel about Verdi? Is that a new one?
No, that is not a new one.
Okay.
I've been called that, and a lot of things that are far worse and not suitable for radio for a very long time. So, and yeah, you're right, by the way, almost 20,000. I think I'm like 40 or 45 shy. If I haven't hit that by the time I get off the radio, it's on you.
41 shy right now. I'm going to unfollow you and get you to 42. But, yeah, I feel like if this show has any power, I'll refresh to the end of the segment. I'm guessing, you know, I believe in the power of this show. My concern is that everybody listening at 9 o'clock has listened to this show enough and long enough that they've already followed you. But maybe if everyone just unfollows you and refollows you who's hearing this right now, it'll feel like we've done something as a show.
Sure. I mean, maybe get some new listeners. So, like some additional listeners.
Yeah, it really
give that a shot.
Any way to artificially inflate the numbers is something I feel like we've all got to be on board with.
Yeah.
There's a bajillion NFL things that I do want to get to here in a second, but you tweeted something this morning that it feels like something that we would have talked about on this show at one point or another, and I am just genuinely very curious to know your Jose Altuve story.
Yeah, there was a tweet by some company, I think.
Yeah.
As to, if you've broadcast sports before, who's the most famous player that you've broadcast the game that he was involved in? And when I was in college, it was actually the summer leading into my senior year. I interned with the Hudson Valley Renegades, who at the time were a short-season single-A affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays. And I called it actually a handful of games. I rotated with a couple other announcers among a million jobs that I did there. But there were actually quite a few guys that year that we called games for that made it to the major leagues out of short-season single-A. Although my most memorable guy was a third baseman who I'm not even sure made it to Double-A, who was this hilarious guy from Jersey who was named Burt Reynolds, who played third base for the Renegades. And I will never forget that. Every time a ground ball got hit down, I was like, "Oh, Burt Reynolds!" It was just, it cracked. I was like 20. I was an idiot. I was 20. It was hysterical. But I remember, if I'm being honest, Altuve played for whatever, I can't remember if it was Vermont or whoever the Astros affiliate was. Mm-hmm. And I remember, watching him warming up and frankly just thinking, my God, he is a small individual. Yeah. I mean, he's tiny. Even at that level, obviously. What is he, 5'7", 5'8"?
Yeah.
And we were watching him hit in the game, or in the series, rather. He was just smoking the ball all over crazy. I don't know if that dude's going to make it because, man, he is small. I mean, I don't know at some point that's going to be a deciding factor, but he is just a laser show. I mean, every time he hit the ball, it felt like it was 200 miles an hour to left field. But I remember him because I thought to myself, like, if that guy can't make it, nobody in this league's making it. Yeah, he made it, obviously.
Did you ever have a time where you thought like baseball play-by-play might be the thing you wanted to do? Or was this just like you did 1,000 jobs around here and this was one of them?
I went to school to be a play-by-play broadcaster.
Really?
So, yes. So I called the games for our hockey team in college for a couple of years. I still have the demo tape somewhere in my office.
You can email that to me just whenever we're done if you'd like.
Really enjoyed it. Team won the national championship my freshman year. I was not the play-by-play guy then. I was an analyst in the studio for the intermission. But I loved it. I want to be a broadcaster from when I was 5 years old. So This story will be appropriate for the show. So I graduated, and I got offered a job for like literally $8 an hour at the place I'd interned, and I took it because I was like, well, this is going to be the start of a really long road. I didn't necessarily want to call it baseball. I love calling hockey, and that's really what I kind of wanted to do. And then they, like I said, it was like $7.50 or $8 an hour. A buddy of mine called me up right before I was about to start the job with the Renegades. And said, hey, I have no idea if you're interested in writing. I know you didn't write the school newspaper, but my dad is an editor at a small paper in Pittsfield, Massachusetts called the Berkshire Eagle, and he desperately needs somebody who knows sports, who can go up there and write on a bunch of sports. I thought of you. They'll pay you $15 an hour. It's for the next 4 months. You have to live in the but you will probably live in the Ramada Inn, and you're filling in for a guy who's getting his leg amputated because he has diabetes. No! That's how my career started. Yeah, I knew you'd enjoy that story.
Almost how Josh's career ended.
Right. Got to peel Brisco off the wall. Also, of course, I mean, Brisco was a one hole away from his career actually ending.
Yes.
Among other things.
Yeah, I do love ho-hos.
True, honest to God story. And I remember I went up there. I literally moved into a Ramada Inn.
Wow.
It cost me like $50 a night. I stayed up there for 4 months. And at first, it was not by any means a glamorous job. Like, I loved it. I still talk to a lot of the guys there. I loved my time there. They were so patient with me. I knew nothing about writing. I'm forever indebted to all those guys who could have just said, screw this kid. He's here for 4 months. Who cares? It turned out to be the best thing that ever happened. I went up there, and I remember they were like, you're going to go cover, girls' high school basketball, which looked fine. And it's one of those things. Like the school that we were covering specifically in the state tournament up there was Lee High School, which they were like an institution. They beat teams literally by scores of like 60-4. I mean, just like comically beat them. I don't forget it was the semifinals or final. I think it was the semifinals. They lost. Like they shockingly lost. And I was interviewing these girls are 15, 16. I was much older. I was 21. And I'm thinking in my head, like, it's high school. Who cares? It's like these, and they were so devastated, and they poured so much effort into it. And I remember thinking to myself, like, if these kids care this much about what they're doing, I owe it to them to care that much when I cover them. And it really was a career change. I was expecting to be there for 4 months, and at the end, they tried to create a position to keep me. And I was like, well, I can't be that terrible if they want to keep me.
Right.
And then I hooked on at SB Nation, and years went by, and FanSided.
Wow, that's a good story. I could feel that there was a turn coming somewhere in the Ramada Inn and why they were calling you. The specifics of it being a leg amputation and then the specifics of it being a diabetes-related thing really feel like if you would have written that story for this show, I would have been like, good work, Matt.
It was a long story. I had to kind of set it up.
No, it's a great story.
I figured with the ending of it, with the diabetes and everything, there was a poor guy got his leg amputated. Hey, thanks, man. Started my career. Which, I mean, to some people, they might even curse that guy out even more.
Well, I mean,
poor guy.
Look, I mean, it's unfortunate, but you got to get your foot in the door, whatever it takes, even if it requires somebody losing theirs.
Well,
I can make that joke. I have diabetes. That's one's
true.
Mine.
I'll let you handle that. That was. I'll tell you though. I remember. That was. You want to talk about roughing it? I remember. I was in the Ramada. There's nothing says. Now, obviously, there's varying degrees of this, but nothing says roughing it in that business anyway. Like a Tuesday night in the Ramada. And you walk across the street to get like a Subway sandwich and come back and you're sitting on the bed and you're watching like Mad Men on your ancient laptop. And you just got like a bottle of Grey Goose and a thing of orange juice. And that's Monday. And Tuesday and Wednesday. I mean, I remember sitting up there. I called my girlfriend, Tom. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no. This either is going to be the start of something good, or this is the dumbest thing. I turned down a job to be a broadcaster in single A baseball to sit here, and I'm sitting here drinking Grey Goose, watching Don Draper. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's incredible.
It was the right decision.
Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah. It's safe to say it worked out. I'm going to refresh here again. Still not 20,000 Twitter followers yet. I don't know why. I feel like that. That story should have brought you across the threshold.
That story really should have gotten me to a decent amount here, but it's not working.
It's gone up by a few, and give the podcast time. We'll put the podcast out, and we'll see if the morning listeners want to get over that. That's a great origin story. That is really good. I guess I'll ask you about football now, since that's where you've ended up. Unless you want to talk about minor league baseball, which I did not know was okay.
I will say that the people that do baseball broadcasting for a living are the most underrated people in sports. Like, you're talking about, you got to think about, you know, a football team, it's now 17 games, right? You want to toss in the preseason? Fine, 20. There are teams in the summer that go 20, 21 days in a row. And you're just, hey, how do you feel about a 3-series road trip to Cleveland, Detroit, and Arlington in August?
Yeah.
Hey, sounds great.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I mean, those God bless them, man. I don't know how they do it.
Baseball writers and baseball broadcasters, you're right. Baseball people, I think, are generally speaking built different. It's just a different way of doing it. You know, if you're a football beat writer, you're out there for practice and for all the daily pressers and stuff in the pre or post COVID world. I'm not saying that there's not a real grind there, but baseball is just also. I mean, the travel and summer and all of that. It's just different.
There's 6 weeks in Arizona.
There's no clock. The damn thing takes forever. You know, and I'll tell you right now, if your team sucks, oh my God! Like, I'm an A's fan. Anybody covering the A's, first of all, should be given like a suicide hotline number by about April 20th. Secondly, can you imagine? You're following that team around. You're trading off everybody. You got some guy who's pitching in like Double-A.
Yeah.
And it's June 30th, and you're 30 games out of first. And you've got to watch this nonsense. You're doing 54 games to get their teeth kicked in every night. And you got to write a story about that every day.
Yeah.
Every night. Oh, Johnny went 0 for 4 with 5 strikeouts somehow. And yet it's an improvement. To do that, oh my God, that is brutal. Brutal. I give anybody who does that credit. You're a good team. It's a pennant race. Okay. You're a bad team, or you're some team that every year wins like 75 games. Oh, forget it.
Well, for our sake and for yours, I'm glad you've ended up covering the NFL. I feel like this has worked out for everybody. Oh, my goodness. I think this is some of the best radio we've done in the post-Club Applebee's era. I feel really good about this. I do want to ask you about, the franchise-altering trade the Chiefs made not very long ago. But I'm in no hurry to get away. I'll take any baseball or any on the road or any Ramada stories you ever have ever. You just let me know when we have you on, and we'll make the time. But talk to me about the Tyreek Hill trade. There's no segue between these two things. That makes me happy.
No, there's not.
There's just not any. Speaking of roughing it, I don't know. The Tyreek Hill trade, obviously, at this point, I am able to talk myself into what the Chiefs' vision here would be in terms of the salary and the draft picks and the long-term strategy and being able to reload again for 5 years and not just being the best team they can be this year or next or whatever. I also understand why the Dolphins made that move. The thing that I am most curious about still, I think, is where the divorce started, if you will. Like, the Chiefs were working, as far as I can tell, correct me if I'm wrong, the Chiefs really were working on getting a long-term deal done. Devontae Adams gets his deal, and it feels like ultimately it wasn't a ton of money separating the Chiefs and Dolphins offers once you take away that fake 5th year. So explain to me where it fell apart.
Well, it fell apart the second Devontae Adams signed with the Raiders. That's when it fell apart. I mean, just kind of doing the legwork on this, and also to be completely transparent. Drew Rosenhaus actually did a radio interview. I believe it was a radio interview. He talked about kind of how everything went down. But my understanding, talking to sources around that deal throughout the negotiation, was it was going well, going fine. I know by no means was I the only person out there reporting it. There were plenty of others. Media Rapport right in front of that, where it was basically like, look, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when Adams got dealt to the Raiders and then signed for 5, 141, 67, I believe it was, guaranteed, that changed the calculus. Because all of a sudden now, if you're Tyreek Hill, and look, rightfully so, you're saying, I got to get paid as much, if not, frankly, probably more. And just reading the tea leaves and reading, Rosenhaus and what he had to say, or hearing what he had to say, and knowing, with the people I've spoken to about it, the info that I know, my belief is that the Chiefs essentially were not willing to go with a third fully guaranteed year, which if they were going to get him to the guaranteed money he got in Miami, they had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for Kansas City, it was a hard bridge to gap because, look, Mahomes' deal, yes, you can always restructure, but it's going to get more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to also pay other young players. I mean, as those years go on, you're going to start having guys like Reed Humphrey come up for an extension. You're paying Orlando Brown here at some point. You're paying Joe Tooney. And for people to say, well, why would you pay the line instead of Hill? I present to you Super Bowl 55.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes difficult. You have to pay all these guys. Now, you could argue that you should have paid Hill. That's fine. And I would argue this. If they go out and they trade for a veteran receiver and pay the guy a fortune, I do not understand why they traded Tyreek Hill.
100% agree.
But I've also reported, and I've said, my understanding is they have not initiated any kind of talks with DK Metcalf and the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that's been out there. My understanding, I was told that it's inaccurate. It could have changed, sure, but at this point, it's where we're at. But I think eventually, look, you look back at this Hill thing, it was the Adams signing, and that kind of changed the starting point. And I don't think Kansas City was comfortable going into Hill's 30s, having to pay him that kind of money. I don't think anybody would deny that he's a great player, he's a unique talent, and they may end up losing this deal.
Mm-hmm.
But they had their convictions, and so they moved on.
You said in stacking the box, like right now, you can't go winners, losers right now. The trade has just happened. Those picks have not turned into players and all of that. But if you're going to walk me through now from what the Chiefs got back, like how do you feel about the Chiefs' return from the moment we're in right now, noting that there is a lot of things still to be decided?
I think what the Chiefs got back was good value, especially when you consider what the Packers got for Davante Adams. And I understand Hill had a year left and all that, fine. But they still got a very good package in return. My initial reaction, I was on Arrowhead Addict, the podcast live when it happened. I was like, how could they only get the 29th pick as the top pick when the Jets are involved? Everybody's reporting that the Jets are all in.
Right.
And then it comes out, well, the Jets didn't offer either of their first-round picks.
Right.
Which, by the way, as a complete aside, and people argue with me about this, I will fight to the death over this kind of thing. You're the Jets. You're desperately trying to figure out some way to get off the deck where you've been for about 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
And all this stuff, they're all in their own. God knows they're getting leaked out of that building. And then it comes out, despite having 2 firsts, well, we offered him 2 seconds. I mean, don't give me this that you're all in.
Right.
Like, maybe you give up the 10th and a lot less otherwise, fine, but, like, you can't have 2 top 10 picks and not even some kind of a pick swap, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, please, save me the time. But, no, I think the Chiefs got a good return. Plus, you have the fact that they got $75 million in cap space out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that. But I do push back on the idea. First of all, I don't know if they've lost a trade, but here's what I do know. The Dolphins got the one quantifiable thing that you know for a fact what it is coming out of this trade.
Mm.
They got a great Hall of Fame caliber receiver, 28 years old.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have all these picks. If they nail 2 or 3 of these picks, they could very well win the trade. But I see so many people do these quantitative analysis pieces where it's like, well, the projected war of these picks, you don't know who they're taking.
Yeah.
Like, what was Jonathan Baldwin's projected war before he was Jonathan Baldwin?
Right.
You know, like, what was Tyreek Hill's projected war before he was taken?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know who these guys are, but at some point, these picks become players. And when they become players, then you will find out if they want to lose. I think the Chiefs got good value, but now they've got to go out and they've got to turn this into a trade that they can look back on and say, yeah, you know what? Either, hey, we didn't get fleeced, it came out about even, or, hey, you know what? We're happy we did it. It worked out.
I do want to eventually talk about the defense because it's the thing that has been kind of swept under the rug by all of this a little bit and also is still looking kind of spooky to me. But you mentioned that, again, there was some rumor that went around that the Chiefs had reached out to the Seahawks about DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and you, like 5 minutes later, had tweeted that in fact, was not happening. But so, and again, like as you said, could happen, but hasn't as of that report last time you checked in, whatever.
Correct.
So you look, and then I think Diana Rossini had a couple days ago that the Chiefs were calling around. Now, somebody framed that in a way of like, calling around for top receivers. I watched the video. Diana Rossini said they were calling teams that like we hadn't heard about, calling for one of their top receivers, which to me felt more like calling for a team's second or third guy, not the superstar. So in terms of everything they could do, because I also want to talk about the draft. You know, are they going to trade up and target someone? Are they going to stay at 28 or stay at 29 or 30? What do you think the plan is at receiver for the remainder of this offseason?
So my understanding after they signed Valdez-Scantling was that they are not finished, that they still could be adding a couple more receivers. Now, one of them would certainly be in the draft, and then I think the other one would either be in the free agency or trade or in the draft, kind of basically whatever they feel their best value proposition is. Look, if I'm the Chiefs, if I'm Brett Veach, and I'm not, which is probably a good thing for the entire city again, but if I was, I'd be sitting there thinking to myself, I have 2 first-round picks, I have 3 picks in the top 50. One of those picks, dependent on the board, has to be a receiver.
Has to.
Has to be.
Yes.
I don't care, 29 or 30 or even 50. If maybe you feel like at 29, 30, there are 2 other guys you just cannot pass up on the defensive side, and you feel at 50, hey, you know, we can get the 8th guy out of this class, but it's a class that's 10 deep. Maybe, look, I know it probably is a reach that he'll be there, but what if you could get Christian Watson at 50?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's, there's no way. You don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember when Juan Thornhill was supposed to be a first-round pick. She's got him at the end of the second.
Yeah.
You don't know. So I think, you know, if you're the Chiefs, look, you got to call around. You got to do due diligence. You never know. You could call Washington. It's Washington. They could go, Terry McLaurin, I don't know, 3rd-round pick. I mean,
okay, sure.
Odds of that happening are low, but it's Washington. Like, you make that phone call.
Right.
You know, you make the phone call to Tennessee and go, look, A.J. Brown's going to be a free agent after this year. What, you know, any openness to trading him? And you may get all those doors slammed in your face, and that's fine. You have to make those calls. But I would say this. I don't think it makes sense. If you're them, look at what they've done this offseason. They have added guys who are younger, who are athletic guys, and they've added them, with the exception of Justin Reed, essentially all on 1-year deals. I mean, even Marquez Valdez-Scantling, everybody's like 3 and 36. It's really like 1 and 4.
Yeah.
You know, so I think if you're the Chiefs, I think you more look toward the draft. And if something just falls in your lap, you know, if you called Tennessee and they just said, 2nd-round pick. Okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you're calling up these teams and giving up a 1st and a 2nd and also the stuff. And I think you're going to have to, based off of what Adams went for, based off of what Hill went for. I mean, those guys may not be Adams and Hill. They're still very good players.
Yeah. That to me has been like the biggest thing of my strongest take or whatever from this whole deal has been exactly that. If they were gonna go trade a large chunk of what they got for Tyreek Hill for DK Metcalf and then pay DK Metcalf a large chunk of what they would have paid Tyreek Hill, you just guaranteed a downgrade for like a 4th-round pick. If it's Tyler Lockett for a late day 2, early day 3 pick or something like that, right? Then maybe that's a little bit of a different story. Although again, part of the point of trading Tyreek Hill is to have more of these draft picks. And you mentioned it's been guys on short deals, and even if you want to extend it to Justin Reed, it's young guys. Like this really has been a youth movement, it seems like, which makes a lot of sense to me. But whenever you look at the offense for 2022, knowing that there's going to be another receiver that plays a major role, right? We know it's going to come from somewhere. But how do you see the offense changing without Tyreek Hill? I know it's a really big question because there's probably a million ways you get there, but whatever you think is most important.
Well, I heard a line once that I always remembered, and I think it fits in this situation. The Chiefs, they had to tear down their sandcastles a little bit. And you could say, well, they didn't have to. They could have kept – okay, yeah. But at some point in Patrick Mahomes' career, you're going to have another phase, another iteration. They've decided to do that now. And, look, I think what they should do is lean into what is a great offensive line. They should be more balanced offensively. It shouldn't have to be a light show every time they have the football. But I do think when you look at this group that they have, I would draft another receiver. I really would not do much else offensively. I would use all that other ammunition to go on the defensive side of the football.
Yep.
Because Patrick Mahomes is going to elevate all these other receivers. I'm not saying he's going to turn Valdez-Scantling into an 1,000-yard guy. I mean, Valdez-Scantling is who he is with Rodgers.
Right.
So, but do I think he could turn Smith-Schuster into 1,100, 1,200 yards? Yeah. Have you seen who Juju Smith-Schuster's been catching the ball from the last 3 years?
Yes. Yes,
Okay? I mean, it's 2 years of Ben Roethlisberger, who basically is throwing with his elbow at this point, and a year of Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges. So, yeah, I think Juju Smith-Schuster, if he plays 16, 17 games this year, absolutely be 1,000. I think he will be.
Yeah.
But I think, look, they've added 2 bigger receivers, both guys who can really block. I'd like to see the Chiefs go back to their screen game more. Their screen game's been devastating throughout the years. They should use it. I'd like to see them go to a little bit more of an offense. Listen, don't be afraid of those 8 to 12-yard chunks. Those are still big plays, even if they're not plays that are going to end up on SportsCenter. Like, I felt at times last year, especially in the middle portion of the season, it was an all-or-nothing offense, where it was either they can just rip through 80 yards on 4 plays, or they punt on 3. And as the year went on, they got better about taking a little bit of a profit. Now without Hill, the question becomes, how much do teams still play that way against them? Is it just too high, back 20 yards off the line of scrimmage, or are teams willing to kind of challenge Mahomes more? I got to tell you, if you're the Chiefs, I think you're begging for teams to challenge him more.
Yeah.
Like, I think now maybe with Scantling and Hardman they still won't, but I think if you're Andy Reid, if you're Eric Bieniemy, you're praying the team, go, no Tyreek Hill, great, we're going to put a safety down in the box. We'll see how it happens. But I do think it opens up a lot of interesting possibilities for them.
Yeah, I do too. I'm a little bit nervous because I know that I like what it can do when Tyreek Hill is the number 1 receiver, but also to the point you've made that there were issues with the offense last year, and maybe a excuse to do a real sort of redesign might end up being a good thing. But you mentioned that you would probably spend somewhere around double-digit numbers of picks on the defense, and looking at the depth chart right now, I'm still not sure that would be enough because there's not a number, well, I was in the number 2 defensive end on this team. That might not be true. Frank Clark might be that. There is not a number 1 edge rusher on this team. There might not be a 2. There might not be a 3. Chris Jones is in the middle. Linebackers seem pretty locked in. Jermaine Carter, Elijah Lee, actual additions they've made. You got your 4 there behind Willie Gay and Nick Bolton. Yeah. Linebackers seem good. Safety seems okay. Probably pretty good.
You're good, I think.
I think so too. But that is it. The edge and the cornerback positions, most likely the most valuable positions on a defense, are a void right now. What are they doing and what are they going to do?
Well, I can tell you, and I know I've tweeted this out, they do have interest in Stephon Gilmore. Now, whether or not they sign him, and I think this is true for a lot of teams that are interested in Stephon Gilmore, is how much of a price reduction does he start to have? Because he's out there for a reason. But also, and it's been widely reported by many people, the Chiefs are in on James Bradbury as a trade target. If I'm the Chiefs, that's the route I'm going. And I got to tell you, I'm not getting outbid if I'm Kansas City because it's not going to cost you a ton. And, if you want to sit there and say, well, we really would love to trade a 6th, but we don't have a 6th. And, we have 2 in each of the first 4 rounds and 4 7th. Look, if it takes you giving up a 4th, and you get Bradbury, maybe you get like a 7th back or something, fine. I mean, what are we talking about? Like, to me, in the end, like, oh, no, can't give up the 178th pick. Like, yeah, you can. You can. I think the Chiefs desperately need to get Bradbury or Gilmore. I think Bradbury's the better player. He's a younger player. I think he's a better fit. Everybody talks about we had a down year last year. Did you see the Giants? I mean, you were pretty much contractually obligated to have a down year. So I think he'll be fine. He's been great for years before that. But if they get him, then you at least can go into it, even if he's nothing else. I would actually, let me amend that. I would go get him, and I would re-sign Melvin Ingram.
Yeah.
Because then you at least can go into the draft. All right, you know what? Look, it's not perfect. But we've got Ingram and Clark on the edges. We've got Jones inside with Noddy and Wharton and all those guys, right? And linebackers are actually really probably the best they've been in years. And then at corner, you've got a real number one in Bradbury. He's probably the most accomplished corner the Chiefs have had since Marcus Peters. And then you start looking at, okay, you got Snead, you've got Fenton, you've got good safety play. Like all of a sudden, you saw me as a defense and going, wow, okay, let's say it takes one pick to get Bradbury. You'd say, all right, wow, we got 11 draft picks, including the 6 in the top 103, and we've got all this talent. Like, yeah, I'm not saying it's perfect. Like, you still certainly would want to attack edge. I still think you'd want to attack corner, even if you were to sign Bradbury to an extension. I think there's a lot of things to be done, but if I'm the Chiefs, Mahomes is always going to elevate that offense as long as you can block for him. He's always going to make them. They're always going to be a top 10, top 5 offense with that guy. Always. I mean, Peyton Manning turned Austin Collie and Anthony Gonzalez. And, like, it's just, that's the NFL today. Mahomes will do it. Mahomes got Albert Wilson $24 million based off of one game. Okay? Like, he will always elevate those guys. But he cannot elevate the defense. Yeah. They have to – if I'm the Chiefs, I'm looking at Buffalo as the template to this. Like, the Bills got themselves a top 5 defense. They have one weapon who matters on offense. But they're really good because the Chiefs have to attack that defense to get themselves to the point where they go, we got a top 10 defense. And we got 15 back there behind a great offensive line. We're pretty much in good shape to win 13-14 every year. I think that's the way they have to go.
We'll let you go so you can get back to your Grey Goose and orange juice. Every instinct is just I would like to continue talking about this for the next 20 minutes, but we can do that without you having to be on the line because I think I'm just going to repeat all the stuff that you said in a less fun accent, less eloquently. Well,
I would love to go back to my Grey Goose and orange juice, but I've got my daughter number 2 is going to be born in about 36 hours, so I got a lot to do.
Whoa!
I got a lot to do, and if my wife comes downstairs that pregnant and sees me sipping on Grey Goose watching Don Draper make a presentation, okay, there's going to be divorce before the baby gets here. So a lot to take care of, but I wanted to carve out a little time to give you some crap before the weekend.
Well, I appreciate you doing that. We will most assuredly not be putting you on these airwaves next week, or any time in the immediate future. Best of luck with that, and hope all goes well. And then we'll talk to you whenever we talk to you.
Hey, no problem. Don't be a stranger. I got to get away from changing diapers occasionally. So feel free.
You can blame. I'll text you at some point. You can blame us if you, honey. I gotta do this. I gotta do this with Josh. If I don't, I'm never gonna get the 20,000 Twitter followers.
Oh, I believe me. I gladly will. As much as I can't wait for this little girl, I'm sure there's going to be a point where I'm going to go, I'm never going to sleep again. So it's just fine.
Thanks, Matt. We'll talk soon.
No problem.
Here's Matt Verderame, Father of the Year. Grey Goose and orange juice. It's just because of the schedule of how the show's been. It's been a minute since we've had Matt on, and I feel like he came back with some fresh material. I mean, I feel good.
He can basically just say, "Hey, I mean, he's got diabetes. Like, I got to do this for him, right? It's a Make-A-Wish thing.
Got to do him a favor, man. Who knows how long he's going to keep both of those legs? And it could be any minute now.
Any minute.
Oh, man. Okay, I want to talk about some of the Chiefs stuff Verderame laid out there because I think he hit on, I don't know, every single point that he made. If you want to cite back to this, even to the point about the offense maybe being a little more balanced. It turned to ash coming out of my mouth. Even that I kind of agree with to at least a certain extent. Everything else I agree with very close to completely. So if you want to just cite what Verderame said as my opinion on that for the next for the next couple of months, next month leading up to the draft at least, I would co-sign that.
The offense should definitely be more balanced. Patrick Mahomes should look to run the ball more. He's at his best when he's running out of the pocket.
I knew we'd figure this one out.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com.
Sports Radio 810 WHB's coverage of Radio Row. Brought to you by Worth Harley-Davidson, Amini's, Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park, Premier Mazda of Kansas City, Core First Bank, and Hy-Vee. Live from New Orleans for the Final Four.
Attention investors, how would you like to collect a government-backed check with secured double-digit returns in as little as 21 days? The Tax Lien Code is going to expose the best-kept secret in real estate investing in a free 20-minute Kickstart video. Text the word money to 26022 now and let their free video show you how to earn government-backed returns up to 25% with as little as $50, or how to invest in tax-delinquent homes that are 50% off market value. Plus, see how you can access private tax lien inventory not available to the public. So if you want to become a real estate investor that buys tax...
Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
How good is it for us that part of our aesthetic of this show is just bad? It's just doing things poorly. Welcome to Almost Entirely Sports, where we purposefully cut off the music for comedic effect and leave long pauses and also say things that just don't make sense.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I try to catch myself sometimes if I'm about to start the segment by referring to the liner, because I know it's not always great radio. It's very self-referential even for us.
Did you pick up the music there?
So Rudy killed the music just then on purpose because of the content of the liner, which was about how our brand is just sometimes it's bad. I don't know if you're a very, very, very frequent listener to Almost Entirely Sports, as I would consider myself to be one of at this point, basically. I
don't listen that often. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would say I'm a casual listener.
The liner there started. Did it just cut off "This is"?
Yeah, so I had it's not necessarily the whole thing.
It sounded fine.
Yeah, the whole liner's there, but it is at the line is at the 1.17 second mark. So I'll just that's where it starts.
Rudy just snipped the first second of that by accident, and the liner ended up being about how our brand. Right.
But
it's there.
Started it
by complete accident.
Yeah,
and then it ended up being a liner about how I make mistakes, and it's basically the brand. And sometimes things just work out. You know what else works out? Jayhawk fans. We're not talking much basketball tonight. I understand this. Tomorrow we will talk a lot more basketball than we are tonight. Kevin Flaherty, 24/7 Sports, will join us. I bet we'll talk some basketball with our friend Sterling Holmes of the Home Stretch, and we'll even have some basketball getting that first hour. I'm promising you that. My promises on the radio mean absolutely nothing.
I think Missouri has 6 players transferring out.
Whew.
I think that's correct.
Poof. Probably more talk about the teams currently playing basketball.
Cruz was telling me how there's over currently 1,000 players in the transfer portal.
It's a big space.
It's like an average of roughly 3 per team, basically.
It's a portal is infinite space. I mean, if you ever played the portal games, you'll understand how you can fit that many players into one big portal. But if you're a KU fan and you want to enjoy the Final Four in maybe the most fun way possible, certainly the most fun way this side of New Orleans, go down to the biggest watch party in town. It's Hoop Central downtown inside of the Power and Light District, and cheer on the Jayhawks against Villanova, and then stick around to watch Coach K face North Carolina one last time. That's Hoop Central at the Power and Light District. It features indoor and outdoor seating options, the biggest screen outside of the stadium, in-game entertainment, ballpark-style eats, games, and fun. Go watch the Final Four at Hoop Central, presented by Miller Lite, Coors Light, and the Midwest Ford dealers. We were obviously down there for the Big 12 tournament, lots of broadcasting from down there and enjoying the festivities. Really a fun place to watch a game in a very communal atmosphere. If you don't want to just be at home on your couch watching basketball, but you're not gonna make the a 10-hour drive down to New Orleans for thousands of dollars seats. I really do enjoy a big watch party atmosphere like that with a bunch of fans of your own team just having a good time. Hopefully it'll be a good time. I think KU's gonna handle their business. There, boom. How about that? A basketball prediction amongst everything else. Also, thanks to all of our sponsors who are bringing you all the content, as we've got Todd Lebo and company down there on Radio Row for March Madness. All of that brought to you by Worth Harley-Davidson, Amini's, Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park, Premier Mazda of Kansas City, Core First Bank, and Hy-Vee. So I do want to circle back for a minute. We can take another break at some point this hour, right, Rudy?
Yeah, well, we can do it now if you want.
No, I don't want to do it just yet. This segment so far has just been about Hoop Central in the liner. So I'm going to give you at least.
Never done a segment like that before.
Yeah, it's pretty frequent. Usually we do it at the end of the hour, though. No, it's fine. No. I just was confirming. No.
Hold up.
No.
Hold up. I legitimately have 90 seconds of commercials that I have to play, so. We can make this last one easy, and honestly, probably be easier.
Can I unfreeze now? I've frozen since you told me to hold on.
Okay, give me 2 seconds.
Well, you don't have to do anything. Okay, it's different.
Now you can unfreeze.
Okay, now it's okay. Welcome to the last segment of Almost Entirely Sports. There's all your info for Hoop Central and our sponsors.
Great producer.
Rudy is efficient at this point, is what I would say. Rudy is you want the show to start at 4 p.m. today. I'll just do it. It's like, I don't think that Seren would appreciate that. It's like, I could do it, though, if you want. It's like, no, man, it's cool. Sometimes you have the energy of, like, the kid on the playground who's like, hey, do you want me to do a backflip off this trampoline and land on the ground? Like, no, Derek, I don't want you to do that. It's like, I could do it, though. It's like, I believe you. You're going to kill yourself. Don't do that.
I 100%. If you wanted to go on at 4 without Petro knowing,
I know.
I could get you on at 4 without Petro knowing.
I know you could, and I do. If on the chance
don't
that
wanna
that
do
Seren is
that.
listening, I don't want Rudy to do that.
4 o'clock is a lot of times my set around here and don't do any work hour, except for on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. But Mondays and Fridays, usually pretty free.
I am not saying any of this is stuff that I want to happen. What I'm saying is I am afraid that you've realized how much power you have. Please don't do that.
He asked for it, Petro.
I'm explicitly not asking for that. It's just at a point right now where it's just like, hey, you want to see a dead body? No, I don't. Here it is. That's Rudy's production style right now.
Yeah.
Couple things from Verderame that I think were like just absolutely dead on. You've heard me talk about the receivers plenty this week, but the idea of trading away Tyreek Hill, even if it's only to spend 80% of those, you have to work on the percentages. We're eyeballing it, and draft picks don't work this way. But if it's 80% of the draft capital that you got for Tyreek Hill, and then 80% of the contract that you would have given to Tyreek Hill for a player who is only 75% of Tyreek Hill, I think that is hustling backwards, clearly. Frankly, I don't even think it makes sense to go 80% of the picks and 80% of the capital for a player who's 80 or 85% of Tyreek Hill, because there is an exponential curve in what kind of player makes you an elite talent and how much that can impact an opposing defense. And so I look at this right now, and again, we have to kind of hold our breaths here, and as Verderame's pointed out, you can't have winners and losers on a deal where you don't really know the terms yet, right? Like, you can to some extent and say, I think they got enough picks, not enough picks, but you can't really judge this until you know who those picks are turning into one way or the other.
If they traded Tyreek Hill for 3 7th-round picks,
we could
basically just be like, hey, they lost this. Or if they traded him for 5 first-round picks, we could be like,
all right,
yeah, they won.
Right, but in this space,
those are extremes that aren't realistic.
In this space, it just kind of wobbles on the knife's edge a little bit, and you could see a world in which they end up with an okay return or a great return. And also, I mean, the idea of like winning and losing trades to the point of the absurd, never gonna happen ones that Rudy just laid out there. Like, we talk about winners and losers, I'm putting that in quotes, in a way that it's never that binary, because it's never 5 firsts and it's never 3 7ths, right? So it's really just like, how does this impact your team and what have you built back in return? For the strategy behind all of this to make sense for me, from my perspective of what the Chiefs are doing, it needs to be an investment in the future. And then what you do, to the Chiefs' credit, this is the thing that I really do like, even as I have, my separation anxiety from this offense losing Tyreek Hill. You signed Juju Smith-Schuster on basically a 1-year deal. You have McCole Hardman with 1 year left on his deal. You signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who is on a deal that I think is most likely probably 2 years, but as Verderame pointed out, could literally be one and done, depending on how it all goes. The Chiefs have not overextended themselves into the future. They have not locked up their investments into the future. They are going to have the opportunity to have their long-term investments all show up here at the end of April in the draft. That's where we're going to know who this team's number 1 receiver is supposed to be in 2023 4-5. It's whoever they take at 29 or 30. Frankly, we talked about this with Kent Swanson yesterday. Frankly, I am made a little queasy by the idea of them giving up a significant amount of draft capital to move up for somebody, because the draft just isn't that certain. I don't really like calling it a crapshoot. We've talked about being a dartboard. You can get really good at darts, but each round, you move another few steps back, so each dart throw gets harder and harder, and maybe you've got a crosswind and they're playing darts outside or something. I would rather have more darts to throw rather than be able to take one step closer to the board for losing a third-round pick that is going to lose a pretty good dart throw that I would have still had there, in my sort of bastardized analogy. I hope the Chiefs take that strategy of they've got 8 picks in those first 4 rounds. 2, 2, 2, and 2 in each of those 4 rounds. I want them to take 2 first-round players, unless it's trading back and that lets them take 3 or 4 second-round type players. I would love to see them hold on to as many of those picks, certainly 2 in the first, certainly 2 in the second. And if you end up moving around a little bit with the help of some later picks from one of your fourths, maybe even from one of your thirds, because of the amount of draft capital they have this year, I might be a little less militaristic about it than I was, in years past. The Noah Gray trade up, here's where absolutely useless stuff will stick in my brain forever. They traded up to draft Noah Gray, but they didn't lose a pick. They traded up there and essentially traded down in a pick swap with whoever they traded with. I don't remember. But at the very least, they kept all of those picks. Now, we'll see if I can get here in basically a minute to figure out who those picks ended up being. It's hard for me to say for sure because I don't remember who they got in return, what pick they got in return. But let's say they traded up for Noah Gray. Their last pick was Trey Smith. So if they ended up moving down into the 6th or whatever it was to move up to get Noah Gray, things worked out fun and dandy because Trey Smith, by value, is the best pick in that class probably. Creed Humphrey at 63 is a pretty good value as well. But then you look at the defense and say, man, if they do send a mid pick for Bradbury, let's say it's their second of their fourths, or maybe it's a fourth, you get something back in return, but again, no 5ths or 6ths because those have all been moved already, makes it a little bit tougher. If they do go get James Bradbury, if they do bring back Melvin Ingram on a 1-year deal, and you're going to look at him as a veteran who's had some injury issues in his non-Kansas City time and wonder what that result might be, totally fair. But that at least sets a baseline for you. At that point, the defense is very, very, very similar to what it was last year, with Bradbury and Ward being a comp, Reed and Matthew being a comp, but then you want to upgrade. Well, you could upgrade, actually, on last year's defense with all of these picks you've got. So I do think there's a relatively bright future coming if they do, everything that I would do. Anything else, of course, would be stupid. Talk to you again tomorrow, 7 to 10. Till then, bye, Mom.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Sports Radio 810 WHB's coverage of Radio Row. Brought to you by Worth Harley-Davidson, Amini's, Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park, Premier Mazda of Kansas City, Core First Bank, and Hy-Vee. Live from New Orleans for the Final Four.
Hey Jayhawk fans. Get your limited edition framed 15x7 photo collage commemorating the Kansas Jayhawks 2021-22 basketball season and Final Four appearance. Each photo lists regular season record, school logo, Final Four logo, championship history, and road to the Final Four breakdown. It will automatically be updated and upgraded if they win the championship. This is a limited edition of only 5,000, exclusive to Nico Sports. $5 of each piece sold is being donated to Make-A-Wish Missouri and Kansas. Comes ready to hang or display, and it is only $99 each. That's right, just $99 each. Fans can order at nicosports.com or call 800-345-2868. That's nicosports.com or 800-345-2868. Celebrate the Jayhawks run to the Final Four with this limited edition framed photo.
Building a pool is not a job for amateurs. If you want a pool you'll enjoy for a lifetime, call the pros at Pro-Built Pool & Patio. Pro-Built Pool & Patio is the largest provider of fiberglass pools in the region. Unlike liners, fiberglass pools from Imagine Pools and Pentair Pool Equipment are built to last, and they have over 200 different design options to fit your space. Pro-Built Pool & Patio offers competitive pricing, financing, and the fastest install timelines. Get a free quote by calling 816-786-3893 or go to ProBuiltPatio.com.
For 11 years, Breaking the Norm has presented the best and most uplifting stories in sports, entertainment, and business, and we wouldn't be here without our amazing partners and you, our faithful listeners. Your stories of life change, loving others, and inspiration keep us dedicated to making a difference in the world, one story at a time. Tune in Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on ESPN Kansas City 94.5 FM and Saturday mornings at 7 on Sports Radio 810 WHB for something good, something positive, and something real on Breaking the Norm.
Your Kansas Jayhawks march on to the Final Four.
These guys earned it, so proud of them, proud for our program.
I think it's going to be an incredible game. It's a game that we all are looking forward to playing.
I'm just proud of my team. I'm just proud of obviously Coach Self, and it's great for the program and the university. But we're not done yet, and I'm not satisfied yet with this. I know my teammates aren't either.
Your home for March Madness and the Final Four. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Sports Radio 810's live coverage from Radio Row is brought to you by Worth Harley-Davidson. Check out the full line of 2022 motorcycles right now at Worth Harley-Davidson. By Amini's. If you want it, they have it at Amini's, 105th and Metcalf. By Core First Bank. A winning game plan doesn't just magically happen. Core First Bank, member FDIC. By Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park. Your next Volvo is online at PremierVolvoCarsOverlandPark.com. And Premier Mazda of Kansas City. See all the new and certified pre-owned Mazdas online at PremierMazdaKC.com.
You're listening to the most powerful sports station in the country. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Structured disciplinarian approach that possibly and most definitely Todd Bowles can probably do a little bit more structured than Bruce Arians.
That's ESPN NFL analyst Teddy Bruschi on Barton Hahn earlier here on ESPN Radio. Another big night for Giannis Antetokounmpo. How about 44 points and 14 boards? He passed Kareem as Milwaukee's all-time leading scorer and got the Bucks past the Nets in Brooklyn in overtime, 120-119. Other NBA Finals, Detroit over Philadelphia, 104-92, despite 37 from Joel Embiid. Atlanta beats Cleveland, 131-107. In the NIT, Xavier wins it, 73-72 over Texas A&M, and Aaliyah Boston is the Women's National Collegiate Player of the Year.
Jimmy G will get healthy. Training camp, he'll be the guy for the San Francisco 49ers. And if he struggles, they'll give way to Trey Lance at that point in time.
It's Friday with KJ and Max. It all starts at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. This is Freddie and Fitzsimmons.
Told you.
On ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Let the good times roll. The bad times go. The sun don't shine.
What's good, fam? It is the best show on your radio. You know it better as Freddie and Fitzsimmons. He is Ian Fitzsimmons. I'm just merely Freddie Coleman, presented by Progressive Insurance on the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, as well as tune in. So who had the audacity to put out there that the reason that Todd Bowles got the job replacing Bruce Arians is because Bruce Arians and Tom Brady didn't get along anymore? We're going to get to that in about 10 minutes right here on Freddie and Fitzsimmons. But each night around this time, you missed out on anything in the world of sports. Don't worry, don't fret. This makes sure that you're caught up.
It's time for one thought. Not
two,
not three,
not four,
not five.
Just one thought. With Freddie and Fitzsimmons.
And our producer, Tara Sledjeski, a.k.a. Sister Sledge, will ante up and give you that news to make sure you are caught up on anything you might have missed. That's part of Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Sister Sledge, the floor is yours. It's One Thought on ESPN Radio.
The United States men's national team booked a spot in the 2022 World Cup on Wednesday night, this after they missed out on the 2018 World Cup. The U.S. scored one of CONCACAF's 3 automatic berths along with Canada and Mexico. One thought, Ian.
All they had to do was not give up 6 goals and they were in. They gave up 2. Congratulations. This one I get excited about soccer.
Yeah.
The World Cup, man, I am a fully emotionally and a lot of times financially invested. You put USA across the chest and I'll watch an egg toss. So I'm pumped, can't wait. And, hey, congrats to the boys.
Yeah. By the way, this will be a fun team for you to watch. With Christian Pulisic, also Ricardo Pepi, Daryl Dike. They got some guys on this squad, and their coach Berhalter is going to do a great job. A lot of their best players, Ian Fitzsimmons, are underneath the age of 24 that they played in leagues overseas in Premier, La Liga. He's got some dudes that's going to be really, really legitimate. They did a great job in the CONCACAF Nations League where they won that. They got 4 matches of that in June. That's going to get them ready for Qatar. But I'm telling you right now, this team has a legitimate chance, not just to get to the Final Four of the World Cup, but actually win the whole shebang when it's all said and done. They have
Come
that kind.
on now.
Hold on, they have that kind of talent. I'm telling you right now, they have that kind of ability that it.
And Tim Hardaway, former longtime NBA head coach George Karl, and West Virginia head coach Bob Huggins are among those reportedly set to be inducted in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2022. A formal announcement of the 16-member 2022 class is expected Saturday. One thought, Freddie.
About time for Huggy Bear.
Amen.
Seriously. I mean, I knew Manu Ginobili was getting in, and he should from that standpoint, but really about time for not only Bob Huggins, but Tim Hardaway being dubbed into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Believe me, as a Knicks fan, that guy was a pain in the you-know-what. When he had that Texas two-step, that crossover that he got from UTEP, he was a tremendous guard that just was in the same era of dealing with the Knicks and the Pacers and the Chicago Bulls as well. But when it comes to Bob Huggins, this should have happened a long, long time ago. 900 career wins. He has coached several schools across more than 4 decades, a 2-time NCAA Coach of the Year. For him, especially Bob Huggins, this Hall of Fame induction should have happened a long time ago before 2022.
No need to take up more of your time, Terry. Everything he said, ditto, an exclamation point at the end of it, right there.
Antonio Brown says he'll have surgery to repair his busted ankle if an NFL team commits to signing him. He joined the TMZ Sports TV show and also mentioned that he doesn't think going back to the Bucs to play with his buddy Tom Brady is a possibility. One thought, Ian.
Remember we talked to him after the season ended, and he just sounded tired. And he's taking a
Antonio Brown, not Gronk.
I'm sorry. Oh, I thought you said Gronk. My bad.
No,
Gronk, wait, what?
No. Well, Gronk's
that news.
back.
I saw that news earlier today with Antonio. Yeah, he wants a team to sign him, and then get the surgery. No, look, man. After what he just did, what team would sign that guy? Forget Pittsburgh, forget the Raiders.
Yeah.
Just go to him leaving the field and skinning off and hopping off. And now he's saying, no. I mean, I wouldn't want that guy anywhere near my squad. And to say that, sign me, and then so I can get surgery.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be out for what? Yeah. Dude, it makes no sense.